Welcome back, Tribe. Got an article here getting liberals angry. 12th grade boys becoming more conservative as girls trend overwhelmingly liberal. Survey finds. So boys are getting real based and the girls are getting deeper into the social media indoctrination of the powers to be. Let's see.
Listen to this. Americans tend to assume that young people lean left, right? Well, a recent survey found that 12th grade boys are nearly twice as likely to identify as conservative, which is a sharp increase from previous trends. However, when it comes to 12th grade girls, we see the opposite. They lean more liberal, from 19% in 2012 to 30% last year. Our next guest is a psychotherapist who says these findings make total sense. Thomas Kirsting joins us right now to explain. What do you mean it makes perfect sense?
I mean, you look at everything, all the messaging in society, it's sort of like, everything is about advancing women, minorities, and so forth. And young men, young boys are kind of being left out. They're sort of being left behind. Then you have politicians out there saying, like, the number one problem in America is white men and things of that nature. So I think young, 12th grade boys are kind of seeing through this. And then you take away, the pickup trucks. I just saw a story about that. Like, they want to get rid of pickup trucks. And if you go down south, probably the majority of senior boys that drive are driving pickup trucks. So it's sort of like, all right, we're creating this idea that if you're a male, that there's something wrong with that and that you're bad.
Well, so this is kind of a seismic shift.
Also, you guys may have not noticed, but the language on social media is becoming super racial, discriminatory, and outright just hateful against men, white men. But I've seen things like, so white people now get called YT in the comment section, YT things. Colonizer is another one that you see. That one was last year's flavor of the year term that they were using. And then you get labeled, of course, automatically some form of Trumper, some form of radical right extremist nut job in that sense. I mean, that's really what it is. Our division is growing more and more. And unfortunately, women are like the number one tool that's being used against society right now because they're the most easily indoctrinated. They tend to go with the crowd. They just accept consensus without critically analyzing any of the information. If a lot of people just think this, it must be true. There's no challenging the idea. So it's very easy to get a group of people, especially women, to believe in something. And I think the powers to be, those that pull all the strings in society, recognize this. That's why they're pushing so hard for feminine this, female that. They do consume the most. I mean, as far as spending goes, ad revenue and product lines and stuff like this, women overwhelmingly spend all their money on the most ridiculous shit ever that they don't need, but can be convinced to want, as opposed to men that are having a much harder time economically, don't come into their financial power until their 30s when they're deeper into their career or have built something. You don't get invited to boats, to parties. You don't go in supercars just because you're pretty. Like a man's life up until, 30 something, 40 something, when he's deep in his career is completely different than what a woman unlocks at 18 for being above average in beauty. Quite insane. And they have the disposable income from these older, wealthier men that are taking them out and giving them money, but also simping, also OnlyFans. So these women have now woken up today in society with an insane amount of disposable income, something a man today can't fathom. Like a woman can literally tell you, yeah, I make $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month. It's not ridiculous. It's absolutely mind-blowing to the average man that's working on a wagey slave of like 15 an hour. That there are women 21, 22 years old, straight up no work experience, just pulling down, if you were to count all the income from the gifts men give her, OnlyFans if she has that, just rich sugar daddy supporting her lifestyle, whatever it is, simps in her comments, DMing her $20 on Cash App just to say hello, whatever it is, when you pull that all together, it's tens of thousands of dollars. These women have money and a ton of it to spend. It pays to be a pretty woman on social media today, just existing on social media. Simps are all over the DMs and the comments, just lifting their life, all just for a hello. It's crazy, man. So yes, society understands that go where the money is. And not only is the money here, it's highly controllable. It's easily swayed. Dude, if I'm a corporation or if I'm one of the powers to be, if I'm an upper class society that's managing the rest of this system we got going, I'm of course going to target and devote all my time to women. Because if you can control women, you're going to control all the men. There's nothing left of men. They made sure of that with the battle of masculinity. Everything is toxic. Traditional is toxic. Anything man is toxic. Yes, no surprise that men are now trending, young men are trending overwhelmingly conservative. And I guarantee you that because the overarching message in society is so negative about what it is to be a boy, to be a man, to be stoic, to be masculine, that they're going to harden and radicalize far more than any of them will give these people credit for. I'm telling you, the young boys today are going to come out a deep shade of red compared to everybody else. And society is going to say, holy crap, we didn't see this coming.
In this article from thehill.com, they said as recently as the late 2000s, liberal boys occasionally outnumbered conservatives. Back in the Carter era, both boys and girls leaned liberal. Back in the 70s, they were more to the left. Mm-hmm. And now for young men to become predominantly conservative.
Also, another reason this is trending this way, in general, the left has gone too far left. Have you guys noticed that even a leftist, an old classical liberal today is considered like right wing? So the left has left behind everybody that was espousing the same ideals. I mean, I saw the craziest meme. It was a van. Like, think of one of those like buggy vans. They used to have like the peace sign and like mountain stickers and love and psychedelic art and all this stuff, and like disband the CIA, no big government, peace, not war. You know, that's what a liberal used to be. Dude, liberals are now like war hawks. Liberals are now for big government. At least what they consider as liberals, big government, massive control, censorship, our way or the highway, war. That's crazy, dude. Now they're for CIA, for FBI. They're for big companies working with big government, doing God knows what behind the scenes censorship and sucking up all user data. And if you got nothing to hide, what you worried about, bro? Like, that's their message now. Wild, dude. They've like hijacked, I guess, the last class that was for independence, for libertarian values, for the individual, for peace, for freedom, and they completely turned it on its head. Now it's the party of like, let's go to fucking war, drop them nukes, save these people, censor everything on the internet, ban them all. No, it's hate speech, this, malinformation, misinformation. We got the Ministry of Truth popping up in the United States. It got shut down, but it was starting, dude. Hello, Orwell.
At an alarming rate to Democrats, that could actually impact some elections.
I believe so. So the other thing, too, the Carter era, liberalism was much different than it is today. It's gone so far, so extreme. And like I pointed out earlier, I think young men are starting to see this. You look at just college enrollment, for example. I talked about 60-40. There's also over 500 women's centers in colleges throughout the nation, and only a handful for young men. And I see a lot of this in my private practice, Steve. A lot of young guys falling behind. They feel like they can't advance. Because there's nothing really there to help advance them, because the idea is that men have always dominated, which is partially true, and we want women and everybody to advance, but we can't do it at the expense of another group.
Okay, so if this survey is true and 12th grade boys are more conservative than they are, an astonishing number, what happens to them when they go to college? Because that, for the most part, is the incubator of the progressive movement.
I think it depends on their household, where they come from, too. So, like college, there's a lot of indoctrination going on. But a lot of kids I see when they go off to college, they will go to a university, a lot of boys in particular, and they are smothered with a lot of this liberalism and left stuff. But some of them get sucked into it, some of them don't. And when you hear the term conservative, right, it's perceived by the left as something terrible. I look at conservatism as the following: of faith, family, and country. And being, and as far as a male, being a protector and a provider and treating women with respect and everybody else with respect. It's not what it's being portrayed to be.
All right. Great analysis of the numbers. Tom, thank you very much for joining us live.
My pleasure.
And then when we look at the graph, the political identity of 12th grade boys, the red line here is conservative. And they're about to start touching on 25%, and they've had a huge spike since 2005. So about 04, 2000, if this is 2000 here. If you've noticed, from 2015 onward, there was a massive spike. And I attribute this to the message in general, because about 2015 onwards is where the radical left really started gaining a foothold, where social media has really creeped into every single individual's lives, where people are glued to their screen for the latest meme. And the short content is around here's where shorts started exploding. That has absolutely captivated the average person. just having a 10, 15-second soundbite absolutely draws you in the rabbit hole that you can't escape. And then, of course, the advent of TikTok and everybody else following suit with that form of content. But if you do get shown something, quote, based, something red pill, something conservative, the algorithm is very good about feeding you that specific kind of content. And for a young, impressionable man, of course, that's going to have an effect on his thought process. And he's going to become red pilled aware about, whether it's politics, whether it's dating, whether it's money, whether it's whatever it is, you become, quote, aware of, the real situation, reality. But on the other end, you've noticed that they're becoming even more liberal on the female side. So we don't have, this is just for 12th grade boys, but there's the girls. The girls are spiking in liberalism because, of course, the content they consume, the girl power, the Boss Babe, the Barbie movie, the Hulk series, everything is telling women this liberal message, and they consume social media the most. You want to make money? You market to women. Women consume more social media than boys. They buy more products. They're easier to sell to. Of course, it absolutely exploded in the same time frame where men are getting messages of like, become masculine, become stoic, self-improvement, red pill awareness. You got to get your money up, get your looks up. You got to be a strong man for a family. Like, this is the message that's starting to permeate grassroots style throughout all male content. And then on the other end, the message that women are getting is like boss babe, independent, don't need no man. I'm the table. He should be buying you this. I got a sugar daddy that, blah, blah, blah. And you're seeing it represented in the graphs here. It's leading to a massive divide. This is going to have interesting implications on dating because as more and more young boys get conservative and more traditional in their beliefs, and women get looser and looser and more liberal in their beliefs, that schism is not going to be able to be bridged when they're looking for marriage. I think men are going to completely check out of the game and go their own, you know what that last word is, can't say it on YouTube. Apparently it's a hate group. And I think the other thing will be passport bros is going to be a big one. Men are starting to realize like they can just leave, go to a country where women actually value males, masculinity, traditionalism, family, religion, which coincides with their conservative values as they're coming out of, high school and college. And they will be able to build better lives for themselves away from this trap. It's not going to be the same for these liberal women. They're going to absolutely be screwed. They're going to go overseas if they think it's an option for them, as we've seen passport sisters happening, sisters. And they're just going to get pumped and dumped by the locals having fun with some foreign woman that they consider a quote whore, 'cause that's what the locals consider them, just foreign whores coming over to have fun, get used, but they are going there thinking that they're going to nab one of these little playboys, one of these beach boys from whatever country they're going to do this sort of tourism that they always say men are doing. Women are going to be partaking in that more and more because there's going to be less and less options for them here in the countries that they're from. AK America is going to be a major one where this is going to happen. It's a matter of time, man. I'm telling you, if you could read the temperature in the room, this is the direction we're heading. I can tell you right now, personal story from leaving to Romania after living in the United States, a good part of my life. There's no reason to come back ever again. I've met Americans that live here that are either traveling through Europe or actually expat in Romania. And they all say the same thing. Once you leave and see the difference with your own two eyes, there is no way in hell you will ever go back. And that's sad. Because personally, I'm still America, fuck yeah. M16s, bald eagles, shooting shit, dropping bombs, freedom, democracy, fuck yeah, baby. Give me my gun and I'm going out in the woods and shit. I love it. Pure freedom in that sense, that's my home. But you're no longer welcome there if you're on a certain side of the aisle. If you're not welcome, leave.